What is going on, guys? I hope you're having a fantastic day. We are headed up to Sonoma Raceway with my dad to do a little garage update on the Bronco, the rest of his cars, as well as later on my garage. But first, check this out. I finally just requested full self-driving on the Tesla. To get full self-driving on the Tesla Model S, it's a $10,000 option, but as of July of this year, Tesla has actually made a subscription service available. So instead of paying 10 grand, I went into my app, I went to upgrades, software updates. Now instead of clicking the $10,000 option, I went to subscribe and clicked something that said $199 a month self-driving. This is awesome for many reasons. One, paying $199 instead of $10,000 all at once is obviously advantageous. But the big thing is, if you're only gonna have your Tesla for a year or two, that $199 a month is gonna save you a lot of money over just paying $10,000 up front. Now that I've opted into full self-driving, it's gonna calculate how safe of a driver I am based on a couple of different features. Over the next 100 miles, the Tesla is gonna monitor my driving and give me a safety score. Apparently, you have to get a 99 out of 100 to actually get the full self-driving beta, which has proven to be very, very challenging. In the time being, I've got features like Summon, where you can be outside of the car and use the app to actually control your Tesla. It's got traffic light recognition. It's also got the ability to stop at traffic lights, which is pretty cool. Now, it's supposed to be able to do lane changes automatically, but it's saying ultrasonic sensor not communicating. I'm not sure if that has something to do with the rain or if there's an issue with the car. Pulling up to Sonoma. How's this for a Tesla specific quirk? If you look at the windshield, the raindrops on the windshield are actually tinted red. I think it's something to do with the way they manufacture the windshield, but it's even more prominent if you check out the drops on the roof. That's weird. We're in my dad's garage now with some cool and some really weird updates for you, particularly on the 06 Ford GT. What happened to this thing?
With this particular car, when they were made, they had some axle bolt issues initially in 2005, 2006. So Ford didn't do an official recall. They did what's called a campaign and basically said, gee, if you want us to fix this, we'll fix it for free for a couple years. But this many years later, Ford wouldn't take care of the problem because they said that campaign's long over. But what happens with these cars, and it's very common, is the bolts that hold the axle half shaft in the transmission snap because they were made incorrectly. And so I had to have the upgrade done, and I chose to take it to a local Ford dealer because I know the general manager, so if anything went sideways, I knew it would get taken care of. So anyway, they did the upgrade. 3 out of the 4 bolts that were in the car had snapped. So,
what did that sound like audibly? It just
never heard it.
Oh, no way.
I have no idea whether it happened 10 years ago or whether it happened when you drifted the car last night.
I hope not.
So they have been fixed, and I've got some pictures of the bolts where the heads had actually snapped off. But what could happen is a catastrophic failure where the wheel and tire and axle literally would separate from the spline, work its way out of the transmission.
Yeah, this wheel flying off with no traction control, you're crashing into a wall, no doubt about it.
So, so that was a repair that was kind of long overdue, but now the car's up to date, and now I don't have to worry about whether you drifted or not.
Okay.
Having the axle bolts snap.
It's not my fault.
Totally your fault.
Was it?
I have no idea. It could have happened the day after the car was brand new.
Fair enough, fair enough.
So
the Bronco is a project you've been working on for a while.
Yeah.
Let's see some updates.
All right, so little stuff now. I'm waiting for Ryan to finish doing a lot of sheet metal work on the body, so we'll go down and take a peek at that. The last thing I did was restore the window regulators. So these were all rusted out, needed to be bead blasted, then painted, put new rollers on. This is where the channel for the glass actually sits on these rollers. So that's the kind of stuff this little stuff that you've just got to do. There's 10,000 parts to these things, and you got to do all of them.
Side note, bead blasting was like one of my favorite things to do when I was 9 years old on that machine.
Yeah, there you go. So with respect to the chassis, it's basically done. I got the carburetor rebuilt. It looks brand new. It came out spectacular. Rebuilt the air cleaner. This was actually called an oil bath air cleaner, which you would actually have motor oil in here that would catch all the effluents and dirt in the air. But I actually converted it to a paper filter, much more easy to deal with. I'm ready to put the body back on. Got the headers on, got the tranny in, transfer case rebuild, did all that.
Has any of the interior been worked on yet?
No.
Okay,
so,
gotcha.
You know, we'll go look at the body. So I had to do a little welding on the windshield frame. Took this to College of Marin, where I do a lot of work. Local community college where I've taught in the past, as you know. So this is ready, primed, ready for paint. Same thing with the dashboard.
You didn't want to use my expert welding skills? Have you seen some of those welds?
A man's got to know his limitations. So the dashboard, originally, this is the original speaker grill, and this particular layout is only 1966. They actually changed the dashboard a little bit in 1967 and on. But the guy had basically cut out part of the original speaker grill to stick a 1970s cassette deck in there. So I wanted to repair that, get that taken care of. This is ready for paint. Now we can go down and take a look at the body. It needed stuff that was above my pay grade. Putting in new floors, and my welding skills are mediocre at best. So I want this done right, and we'll go talk to the man who did it.
This will actually be really exciting because I have never seen even pictures of the body. So I have no idea what the state of the car is right now. Is it painted, or I assume not?
No,
okay.
It's all primed.
This will be cool.
So we come down to my buddy Ryan Kurtz's fabrication shop to show you the body. Any of you guys out there need any fabrication work and you happen to be in Sonoma, Kurtz Fabrication, he has no peers. I mean that, dude's good. So let's look at the Bronco and see what he's done, because most of this shit is way above my pay grade, and I can weld, do basic welding, but I want the truck done right. So that's when you bring in an expert and you just start writing checks. So anyway, here we go. Want to start from the back, or?
Sure. Well, I guess we'll start. You know, we knew we were going to be doing some extensive surgery on this thing, so we've got it welded to the frame table. Made basically a frame for it. It attaches to all the original body mounts, and made sure that the body was square and level as we went along with it. As you can see, I guess we'll start here. Quarter panels, extensions were just destroyed, so they've been removed. Drill out all the spot welds, so there's no secondary panel, you know, lap weld or anything like that. Quarter panel has been removed. If you look here, we've got the rocker panel off. That was just completely destroyed, so we felt it was easier just to replace it versus repair it. You can see we've got aftermarket floor pans in here, which have been spot welded back in like the factory would have. Some rust repair around the area, and also on the other side, that frame or floor pan, excuse me, has been replaced. We're working on fitting a aftermarket front fender. There were some issues with the flange up here that needed to be addressed to get it to sit in the right position. Replaced the inner fender apron up in here that was destroyed. The core support was beyond repair, so we have an aftermarket one in here that we've been fit to go in the right place, and still addressing some issues with some holes not lining up here. Kind of as we learned, everything that's aftermarket needs a fair bit of work to it to get it to be correct. On this one, we had a bit of damage to the left fender, but we feel it's easier, or it's more cost effective to repair the few things that are damaged versus replacing it. Trying to keep it as original as possible within reason.
Yeah, this is the dilemma that you face when you're restoring a vehicle of any kind. Is obviously the Ford factory stamping is going to be better than anything else. So if you can salvage the original part, that's the way to go. But sometimes what you find out, and we can probably show you the other fender, it was a lot of crumpling in here, and so in that particular instance on the other side of the truck, it was more cost effective to just get an aftermarket part, even though it didn't fit for shit. So Ryan had to do a bunch of surgery to the aftermarket part to make it fit, whereas this one hung really nicely but needs a bunch of surgery down here. So those are the overall lessons you learn. You get faced with these choices of, do I use the original part or do I get an aftermarket part? If this was a 1934 Delahaye that might be worth $1.6 million, then you salvage this stuff no matter what it cost you. But this is a Bronco, so we're putting on some aftermarket sheet metal.
They're going up in value, though.
Oh,
These things are getting pricey.
Yeah, no, it's true. Absolutely.
I think that kind of brings us around full circle. Same thing here. Quarter panel needs to be replaced there. Yeah, the original quarter panel extension, which you see was pretty beat up, had some rust in some areas that have been cut off, but the flange depths are different from the aftermarket one to the original. So if you were to put the taillight bucket in here with the lens and the bezel, it would sit an 1/8 or 3/16 of an inch proud. You'd have just a big air gap all the way around it. So what we need to do is go ahead and cut these tabs off, lengthen them, and then put them back in at the right depth so that that bezel sits flush with the body.
It is good to know when a lot of people put aftermarket high-end carbon fiber body kits on their supercars, they complain that none of the aftermarket parts fit. It appears that is a universal problem, whether it's a Bronco or a Lamborghini. Check this thing out, Dodge Power Wagon. This is absolutely enormous. What can you tell me about this thing?
This is a customer of ours. It came to us pretty much in the form you see it now. It didn't have a rear bumper though, so we built a Barden style rear bumper. It's all out of 1/8 and 3/16 inch plate. This has all been press brake formed around here on the radius, so it looks nice and smooth. Taillights are kind of recessed, so if you bump into something flat, you don't break the lenses. The fenders have been widened by another shop. We kept the bumper this width here. The original fender kind of stopped maybe in here somewhere, and we'll extend this fender down to probably this level and have a radius come up and just make it, the bumpers flow with the fender a little bit better.
Nice.
And we also made these fuel tanks here. The original ones set in about here somewhere. So we designed them to be kind of flush with the running board here. They're all 1/8 inch steel, made to look like the original ones. It's all press brake and hammer formed here, metal finish to look like a pressed part. And we even drew these straps here in SolidWorks, had them water jet cut out, built the press brake tooling to get it to do that bend, welded them, polished them back up, made the pickup returns and vents as hidden as possible back there. And there's a second tank on the other side as well. And he had to have a Monza style filler cap.
That's pretty cool.
So we put that in there. It's got a Cummins 24 valve motor. Like I said, we didn't do the install on that, so I don't know much about it. But
wow, this thing is huge. And then how about this Safari Porsche? That is really badass.
Yeah, this is a customer of ours. The parts that we did were the aluminum roll hoop in there. We've done some mud flaps, modified a roof rack to make it a little more durable. And the next step will be making some tubular front and rear bumpers. We've done some skid plates in the front. There's been some jack pads welded in so the car is easier to put on a lift, and then a skid plate down the right hand side that protects the oil lines that go.
Awesome. So a little update on my Tesla safety score. Finally, the information has popped up, and to my surprise, I actually have a safety score of 99 out of 100 over the last 25 miles. Now, I have to give a huge shout out to Drag Times, Brooks, for all the help with the Tesla. He's been helping me. Basically, I had to re-download this app because it wasn't popping up before. And I got 75 more miles to average a score of 99, and then hopefully I get full self-driving. How's this for a random spot? The new Rivian truck at Sonoma Raceway. That is pretty awesome. Headed back home from the track now. Now, weather permitted, hopefully on Wednesday, for Wednesday night drag, something I used to do all the time in high school, I'm gonna take the Tesla Model S Plaid and race it in the quarter mile at Sonoma Raceway. I've never driven a car in the quarter mile anything close to a 9.2. I think the fastest quarter mile I've ever recorded personally was in an acquaintance's modified Hellcat, and I think I ran a 9.6, but a 9.2 in a stock family sedan is gonna be pretty crazy. I'll be interested to see if I get kicked off the track because this car doesn't have a roll cage, and they are pretty strict at Sonoma. Now, I've got 75 more miles to average that 99 out of 100 safety score until I can get full self-driving beta. So hopefully, fingers crossed, I'm able to accomplish that. Now, garage update from me, there really isn't one, but I've seen a couple of comments that said, oh my God, did he get rid of the McLaren and now he just has an electric car? No, I still have the McLaren. I would never only just own an electric car, so have no fear. But for the time being, it is just the Tesla and the McLaren. I'm gonna hold off on the BMW for a while because, well, I really wanna enjoy this Tesla as long as I can. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Like always, please browse the channel and subscribe. I look forward to seeing you next video.